Hi there. Welcome to the SparrowCast series where we help you connect the dots. Take home the best ideas from industry experts and thought leaders right here on SparrowCast by Survey Sparrow. Today we have with us Rob Markey, founder of Bain& Company's customer strategy and marketing practice. He previously has led customer experience transformations, employee engagement improvement, marketing and sales capabilities development for dozens of world's largest companies. He also has co-authored The Ultimate Question 2.0: How Net Promoter Companies Thrive in a Customer-Driven World, and numerous other publications like E-Customer Loyalty, applying the traditional rules of business for online success. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Thank you so much.
Super excited to have you here.
It's my pleasure.
Today, Rob will educate us on difference between measuring your NPS versus using the Net Promoter System. Over to you, Rob.
Thank you. So I think it's very common for people to use Net Promoter scores as a way of measuring their progress in earning customer loyalty. And in many cases, they use it as a way of facilitating measurement of individual customer interactions or the health of a customer service operation. I think that what's less common and kind of unfortunate is that Net Promoter isn't being used as often as we would like for its intended purpose, which is to facilitate better relationships with individual customers, to facilitate faster and better learning at the front line and for the organization overall. And importantly, to do all of that for the purpose of growing the value of the customer base. So the Net Promoter System is really the intended use of Net Promoter Score. And what the Net Promoter System involves is collecting feedback from individual customers one at a time and delivering each piece of feedback directly and in its original form to the individuals in the organization who need to hear it. Frontline employees like contact center agents or retail store personnel, or even web designers, product managers. But each individual piece of feedback in the customer's own voice as it comes in. Now, the reason that that's so important is, and rather than doing it in statistical form, is because the way that people learn is not through statistics and aggregation, but instead through individual experiences and stories. So think about, I don't know, if you play soccer or what people call football outside of the US. I grew up doing that, and I would spend an hour shooting penalty kicks after our team practice was over because I wanted to get better at it. Each shot I would take, and I would look at where it went. I was trying to get it to go into the upper right-hand corner or the lower left-hand corner. If instead of allowing me to see where every single shot went, you instead put a cloud over the goal and only gave me a statistical analysis of how many of my shots during that hour went in each particular location, I wouldn't learn anything. And it's the same way with people who are making decisions about serving customers. They learn from the individual instances aggregated, as opposed to from the aggregation and then the drill down. The second thing that the Net Promoter System requires then is what we would call closing the loop between the company and that customer who needs to have the loop closed. So when you get a piece of feedback from an individual customer that merits some sort of follow-up, customer is giving you evidence that their relationship is at risk. The customer is telling you that they have an open or unresolved issue. Or maybe even more importantly, the customer is perfectly happy. They're a promoter, but they have spent so much time investing in that feedback. They've given you such thoughtful feedback that it would feel inappropriate not to follow up and thank them for the feedback and ask them what else they had to say. The other thing that's involved in the Net Promoter System, beyond that individual learning at the front line and the individual relationship management with the customers who gave you feedback, is group learning. That happens in small group meetings when people get together and share the feedback that they're hearing with each other, share what's working, share what's not working, try to problem solve, and maybe even ask for help on issues that they can't resolve themselves. These little meetings we call huddles, and we set them up in the Net Promoter System on a regular cadence. Excuse me. The final, so what I've described so far is the inner loop and the huddle of the Net Promoter System. The final piece is what we call the outer loop. The outer loop is where issues that can't be addressed by individuals or by small teams are elevated or escalated so that they can be addressed in a systemic or systematic way. And the outer loop is important not only because it can identify and address some of the bigger, more important issues, but also because it enables people at the front line to feel like their voices, excuse me, it enables people at the front line to feel like their voices are being heard and that the organization cares about removing the barriers and issues that get in the way of serving customers well and earning their high scores, earning their recommendations and referrals. So I think the major difference between using a Net Promoter Score to measure and using the Net Promoter System is that the system is designed to foster improvement and learning and engagement, where the score is really about just figuring out, are we making progress or not?
Wow, thank you so much, Rob. That was truly insightful. I'm sure our audience felt likewise. We have a
Well,
lot of learning from Rob here today. Let's sum up the key takeaways from our session. Number one being NPS should be used to facilitate better relations with individual customers and for teams to provide better services. Closed loop because closing the loop because customer has invested their time to give their feedback, so thank them and act on it. Escalate issues that can't be addressed by smaller teams to the higher authorities to ensure both frontline and the customers are heard. Once again, thanks for your time, Rob, and thank you for sharing your thoughts.
my pleasure.
A final question for our guests. Did you have an opportunity to participate in any of our Sparrow surveys?
Yeah, I got to test one out, and I thought it was really interesting. It's an unusual form of interaction for a survey that feels tailored and personal. It was actually very cool.
Thank you for your kind words. That keeps us going. Thanks again, Rob, and we shall see you guys again in the next SparrowCast series. Fly along with us.